crafty friends, it's Diane the Creative Inkster. Today is Wednesday, November 30th. Oh my goodness, the end of the month already. That means Christmas is 25 days away. Are we ready? I hope so. I've got a project to help you with some of your little treats that you're going to share with family and friends, or even some small gifts. So here's the one I made last year. I think it was last year. It might have been the year before. And it holds a fair bit. So the box itself is 3 by 4. That can't be right. 3 by 3 3/4. And it's a 1.5 inch deep. So you can fit a fair bit of chocolates, a small gift, a couple of soaps, maybe some fancy hand creams in there. And I use these for my kids for their stocking last year, the year before, and I honestly can't remember. And I put some treats in there and put them. We don't actually do like fabric stockings. I do like a gift bag, and then stuff goes in there because they get too much. So that's just the way it works. But I want to show you how to make this with some paper. Here's one that I made this week. And it's got our patterned paper, Celebrate Everything, with these really cute ornaments on it, and who'd have thunk pink ribbon for Christmas, but there you go. And I'm going to give you all the measurements. If you're watching live, please let me know you're here. Sorry, I didn't get a teaser out there to let you know what was going live. It's been a bit of a busy week. If you're watching the replay, give me a comment and we'll chat that way. So this is made out of, the box itself is made out of one piece of cardstock, and that cardstock measures 9.5 long by 7.5 tall. I'm going to give you the measurements for scoring. Hi, Vicki. And then we're going to wrap it around, and I'll show you how it comes together. So let's get our scoring board out. I like to use my Simply Scored instead of the paper trimmer score for boxes. I just find it's easier. I'm not going to left. I'm actually working towards the right, so it works really well for me. So with the 7.5 inch side across the top, hey Lynn, and before you ask me, you probably could make this out of patterned paper, but I feel like you wouldn't get the stability you need for what you want to put inside it. So I'm making mine out of cardstock, and then we're going to decorate it, and I'll give you the measurements for the patterned paper. So 7.5 inch side across the top. We are going to score this at 1.5, then 5 1/4, and 6 3/4. So that's 7.5 inch across the top, scored at 1.5, 5 1/4, and 6 3/4. Now we're going to turn it. This is 9.5 across the top, and we're going to score it at 3, 4.5, 7.5, and 9. So no funky measurements happening here. It's pretty straightforward. So 9.5 across the top, scored at 3, 4.5, 7.5, and 9. And that's our scoring. Simple, straightforward box as we usually do, but we have to cut some pieces off. So because this box wraps around to create the body of this and the top, it's all one piece, we're not gluing anything together except the seam, then we need to cut some pieces out. So this is my template for cutting out. X marks the spot for what we're going to cut out. So let me just kind of line it up here over the one that I have already, oh yeah, let's do it this way, that I have scored. So with the, sorry, I got this going in funky directions. Okay, so with that short 1/2 inch scored edge to the left, that's what I've got here, and the 2 score lines to the top, so one is scored down at 3/4 of an inch, and then a second one. So where you've got 2 score lines at the top, that's the way I've got it set up for this. We are going to X out, and we'll exit and then cut it so you can see it. The first 2 segments, there's a little rectangle and a larger rectangle, so we're going to cut these 2 on out, and then the small rectangle at the bottom, that's going as well. Then across the top here we have a rectangle, that's got to go, and then We're going to skip over this middle section. We've got another X'd out piece. And over here at the far right, we're taking this large segment out. So this is the rectangle at the far right, and it measures, let me get the measurements for you. It is 3 inches long by 3/4 of an inch tall. That's going, and the one below it's going. Okay. The bottom, where you see these score lines, that's where we're going to cut up for folding up the bottom of it. What we've cut out at the top is to create the top flap. The two little pieces here and the top flap that goes over. So I will post this on my blog, and then you'll be able to see the lines. In fact, I'll go over the actual score lines with something darker so you can actually see it and replicate it. Okay, so I'm just double checking, making sure I don't goof up. So on the left side, the skinny 1/2-inch side, hi Brenda, I'm cutting the top and the bottom. It's just that longer segment that we're keeping intact. So let's cut that out. And I know some of you, when you make boxes, you're accustomed to angling the edge so you get the bulk out. We can do that too. Cut the bottom little square off, and we're going to cut these two rectangles off here as well. Just turning it so I can get a cut across. All right, and we're left with this, and you can definitely angle cut these little edges off. It takes a little bit of the bulk out, and it makes that seam come together a little bit more easily. All right, so we have a whole set of scored edges along here. We're not touching those at all for now. So if we're looking over on the left side, hi Wendy, we're going to cut out this first one, starting from the bottom up. We're going to cut out this first segment. Cut that guy off. And then we skip over, this is the top flat piece that comes over. So we're going to leave that intact, but then we're going to cut the next segment out. You might have to stop and rewind if you're going to watch this to get the ideas, and I get that. And I'm just going to cut it like that because I'm going to cut it right off. I'm going to cut the next segment to the end out too, as well as the one to the right of it. So I'm going to take that whole piece out. And then I will hold it up so that you may take a screenshot if you like of what it should look like. So that's out, and this guy's out of there. So what we're left with, and may start to look like it will make some shape, is this. The side where we did no cutting at all is where we're going to cut up now for the folds for the bottom of the box. So there's 1, 2, 3 score lines. We're going to cut up those score lines. I didn't angle these ones. I think that was okay. You'll see when you cut it if your score lines work. Sometimes I find if I score too wide or use the thick edge of my scoring tool, then it's gonna look weird. Okay, so those are our flaps for the bottom. This is our little joining flap. All right, so we still need to do a little cutting at the top. This piece, that's to cut these flaps loose. This little piece on the angle here, that's what's at the top here. See how that's starting to take some shape? That's the bottom. Okay, so we are going to cut down these ones. So this one rectangle up at the top, we're going to cut down. So I'm flipping it over. Always easy once you've done it once or twice, right? If you cut the other way, would it work? I'm just wondering. I'm just anticipating the question. I don't think so because you're going to cut your flap off. So you definitely want to be cutting from the top. All right, so then let's start to push our score lines in, and then we'll start to see the shape of the box coming together. This is going to wrap around and seal, and then we're going to seal up the bottom. I just wanted to kind of give you that visual. So I'm going to start folding my edges in. So I fold and burnish, fold back. Fold and burnish, fold back. And then the last piece I can fold and burnish there. This is the bottom. You can tell the bottom from the top because it has 4 flaps. So we're going to fold and burnish our flaps on the bottom. That's what's going to make a nice closed off box. And then the ones on the top will just fold down. Oop, I didn't cut that one in far enough. Just going to cut that guy in a little bit more. There we go. You'll know when you go to fold it if it doesn't go down nicely. And then this is our top. We're going to fold that guy down and burnish. And the little flap that goes on the inside. We'll fold that guy down too. So there we go. That's all our bits. It's going to just come together like that. All right, so with that tiny edge that you have over here, the little 1/2 inch, fold it kind of into the other piece. Grab your liquid glue or tear and tape, or you could use Stampin' Seal or Stampin' Seal Plus. That would be strong enough. And just put some on the back side, if you will. If we're looking at it this way up, you're folding it in, and that's the side you're putting your adhesive on, because we're going to fold over and seal it up like that. Okay, so we're going to go over here. We're going to pull off the tear and tape backing. And we're going to fold this right piece over, and it will line up because the pieces are just perfectly scored because you did an amazing job. And we're just going to fold it over like that. And now it's a flat box. And you just push it up, and it's a 3D box. So you'll know the top because it has the extra flap. We're going to flip to the bottom first. And I like to push my thin ones in, then the bottom 2 pieces. You could glue them down. I think I've seen people go one big one in, the left and the right, and then this one down. I don't do that. I don't know why, I just don't. So I fold my 2 in, that one over, and then on the last one, pardon me, I'm going to put some tear and tape. Liquid glue, again, works just fine. And we're going to peel the backing off and seal the bottom. And if it doesn't like to stay, you can just stick your bone folder in and tamp it down a little bit. And now we're looking like a box. So I found when I pushed the 2 flaps in and folded the top over, it didn't want to go in, and that's because I needed to really give these a little bit of a haircut. So on our side flaps, I'm just going to cut in and miter the edge just a little. Just a sliver. And that gives the space for the top flap to slide in. So same on the other side. You can, if you do it too much, don't worry, it's going to be fine. No one's going to notice. So push your flaps down, and you can see there's a little bit of space there before the front, and then tuck this guy in. And if this one's a little stiff to go into, if he's being fussy, you could miter him too, but mine just slid right in just perfectly. So there's a cute box, and it measures 3 by 3 3/4, so you can put a bunch of stuff in there. Let's do a little decorating. We need some pattern paper. I have 2 pieces, which are 2 3/4 by 3 1/2. They're for the front and the back. So this was the Celebrate Everything pattern paper that was a free choice in the, like for Stampin' Rewards in the mini. Always like free paper. So if you're a demonstrator, you like free paper, you get free paper. It's all good. We're going to be getting more free paper during Celebration. I've looked at the beautiful stuff. The demonstrators can pre-order starting tomorrow. If you didn't go to Onstage, went to Onstage, you probably pre-ordered anyway, but I get to do that. And we've got some beautiful stuff coming. So that's the front. Flip it over. You're going to put the second piece of 2 3/4 by 3 1/2 onto the back. I mean, decorate it as much as you want. If you don't want to decorate all of it, don't bother. I do pretty much do all the sides except the bottom. And then I've got 2 side pieces to go in. They're the same size. They're 1 1/4 by 3 1/2. And if you take some non-directional paper, you don't have to worry about which piece gets where and if the pattern runs or if the pattern looks weird or the pattern's upside down, because it doesn't matter. And that's what this paper is good for, these cute dots. So this doesn't scream Christmas at all. For me, this works for any occasion. So we're going to put the other 1 1/4 by 3 1/2 piece on the left side. There we go. And then the top piece is a little bit different measurement. Obviously, you only need 1 unless you decide to put 1 on the bottom too, which you definitely could do. It's 1 1/4 by 2 3/4. It's just 1/4 inch smaller than each of the panels on this box. Uh-oh. Sounds like a delivery. It's at Christmas time. Deliveries and Riley going crazy up there. Okay, that's our box. And we're going to decorate it a little bit. So I had, from last week's card, a whole bunch of these little doggies left over. So I'm going to put the dog on there because I think he's so cute. And I thought I'd cut myself a greeting circle or something. Where did I put that? Maybe not. Did I leave it over there? Oh, I did. Hang on. I got interrupted. This is why anyone can do this Stampin' Up! Decorating or demonstrating thing, because if I can do it, anybody can do it. All right, I forgot to cut my thing. I left it on my table. So there's my circle. I'm going to put my greeting on, and I've got my cute little Scotty dog. I guess I could have put that on something else, but that's okay. I'm going to put it in a nice Pacific Point color for my greeting, just for you. So it's not a Christmas thing necessarily, although it could be. Ooh, let's open this up. So this is Ringed with Nature, and I just love the Just for You in this set. So let's add this on here. There we go. That's beautiful in Pacific Point. That's the cardstock I use for this too. And we'll pop this guy up. And we probably want to put some ribbon on, don't we? That's probably a nice idea. I have a piece left over of this Pacific, polished pink. And on the one I did last year, I only had a small amount of ribbon, so I just did it around the top of the box. But definitely can go around the body with this one, and I can tie a knot. So lots of different options. I have just enough of this left over to do this, so I found this in my leftover ribbon bin. Keep your ribbon ends. You just never know when you might use them for something. We'll just trim that off and clean off pull off the backings of the dimensionals. We've got Just for You right here. I bet it would look good bordered as well, but we're going to pop the little doggy down here, and he's going to just fill in the space there so beautifully. I am sad this guy is retiring, but I am keeping him in my stash because he is so adorable. There we go. And I have some other retiring gems, the fine sparkle gems. And I'm not sure if this blue is actually Pacific Point or not. It's in the catalog somewhere. But looking at it, I'm like, yeah, it matches. And there's lots of others. This is Pool Party, and it's in this paper too. So we will use this blue. I think this blue is actually Balmy Blue. I think it might be. But you know what? It's okay. It goes. It matches. And maybe we'll put one on the little doggy. There. Okay. So there's our little box with some treats, or just even if you want to put it at the table, you could decorate these for Easter, for Thanksgiving, or Valentine's Day, or any day, even Christmas. All right, thanks for watching. I hope you liked it. I hope you give it a try, and I will see you guys next week. Have a wonderful week. Bye for now.